Alright. Hello everyone and welcome to another live stream. I haven't really been uploading a lot of Don't Bite Me Bros and of course, as you remember, Detroit live streams. And the reason for that is of course I've been so busy with Roblox Story Mode, and of course I'm uploading an episode every Saturday, so I have to get it done. I don't have time to like do those live streams, you know, every day again. I'll try to make time for them at some point in time, but I don't know. Here I am live streaming just because I really felt like playing Human Fall Flat, but I also want to talk about what went down in the first 2 episodes of Roblox Story Mode. There are 3 episodes left. And as you can see, if you have been keeping up, they are actually picking up a little bit more. The storyline is really coming together right now, and I am actually here to talk to the stream, or the viewers watching the stream, what this is about and what happened. If you are a little bit confused about why we're going to like different Roblox games. Alright, okay, so basically also Saturday there's episode 3 is coming out. I already have the recording done. Now I just need to upload it, edit it, and then that'll be done. Oh, sorry. So episode 1, I wasn't originally thinking about this, about doing Roblox Story Mode. I got the idea because I was just like, I got a whole bunch of subscribers one day, and also I had to do the 500 subscriber special, but I didn't know what to do for it. And so I was just like, should I continue the Pixel Gun series or Roblox Story Mode, because that's the only really thing I could have thought of. And I was like, people enjoyed Roblox Story Mode more than that, so I'll just try that out, see how it goes. And of course it went pretty well. For those who know, me and Robin 503 are friends. Pretty much we have linking storylines about how Roblox Story Mode goes, and I recommend you watching his Roblox Story Modes, his part of the series, and then of course his movie, because his movie has the origin of Coda, which is actually the main villain of my season 3. I got the idea from Coda because I was just like, I don't know, I was just thinking, and I thought maybe we could do a season of like, because 3, I don't know why, it just sounded like a good number for making this villain, a computerized guy that can like go through codes and stuff. And so basically, oh jeez, okay, so basically I got the idea, and I made that on the final episode of season 2 as a cliffhanger, and of course that was going to be the whole plot, the main villain of season 3. And since it was this 500 subscriber special, I wasn't just going to make an episode every month. I was originally going to do that if I ever did continue Roblox Story Mode. I was gonna make an episode every like month and a half or something, but since it is the 500 subscriber special, I want to give it out, like the whole rest of the series out, as soon as possible, which is every Saturday, just because it's a little just thank you for 500 subscribers. And that is exactly what I did, or am doing. My only fear is that I do not get the recording done because no one's, or like not everyone's on. Oh jeez. That's my only fear, if no one's on for the days of recording, because then of course I'm gonna have to delay the episode to the Saturday after that, and it'll just be a hard process. So let's actually get now to the talking of episode 1, starting with that of course. So basically, actually no, let's do a recap. Let's do a recap of the linking storylines me and Robin have, and how this linked up towards season 3 of Roblox Story Mode. So, and also some secrets, I guess you could say. So starting with my season 1, of course a asteroid hit my world. No, I was in a coma starting with it, and since I was in a coma, I basically became bankrupt because I was out for so long. And the first 2 episodes went pretty well. It went normally, you know, because it was just picking up the pace. I went to jail because I got mad at someone for, like, you know, disrespecting my captain, and I went to jail for kind of like killing him. And yeah, and then basically episode 2 was about escaping it. And basically the whole, I'm just gonna say this, the main plot, like the main plot that the story of Roblox Story Mode in my Roblox Story Mode has is my coma. That's all I'm saying. My coma has a really big part in Roblox Story Mode. Whether it's season 4, season 2, whatever. But yeah. And then episode 3 actually of season 1, it got corrupted, basically, the recording. And back then I was too lazy to re-record some of the scenes for episode 3 because it had already happened. So I just thought, why not I just give you guys a full video on telling you what happened during the episode, and that's what I did. But recap, basically a meteor hit the my town that I was in, full of like scientists and stuff, you know. And then basically once that happened, it kind of blew up our lab. The cores in it kind of exploded, and then episode 4 came, of course. The rocket came, and that is a linking storyline from Robin. That's our first time linking the storyline over. So basically the rocket was from Harbinger in Robin's storyline. In Robin's season 3 of his Roblox Story Mode, his main villain was Harbinger, and of course he sent the rockets full of like dark matter out, and it created a huge zombie apocalypse, which happened in mine and his. And basically we live in different realms too, so that's what realms are a main key part as well from Roblox Story Mode, just not as much as the coma part. It created the zombie apocalypse, and basically I was trying really hard. The corruption came from the meteor, and I was trying to close the dark portals full of monsters and also stop the corruption at the same time, and I eventually do it. And then the second part comes in. That's the end of season 1 for me. That's the end of season 3 for Robin. And here comes season 2 for me, which is, I'm pretty sure, first. Basically, long story short, oh shoot. The Terminator, of course, I've rebuilt the town. I got, there was a farm, there's a whole crops area that I could grow crops, and it was just, life was going good for me until I noticed something odd about the mountain, that the little hillside that was next to the town, and I went inside of it, and it had a whole cave system, and I eventually found an opening that led to a giant robot inside of there, being built by someone, which was another robot called the Terminator, and that actually leads into one of the secrets of Robin's Roblox Story Mode movie. In that, basically, he actually, the scientist, in the beginning scenes of it, the scientist was mentioning how he created a Terminator robot, or was that Coda? It was either Coda or the scientist, but basically, the scientist also, I guess, is playing a really huge part, because he made most of the things that came from my realm too. He made Coda. He made, there wasn't really a villain of season 1. It was just evil, kind of. Like, Harbinger was, the only known villain that could be in my season 1, but he was mostly Robin's guy, so I let him take care of that. After that, basically, the Terminator brought his robot out and started creating these force fields that would eventually actually make force fields around the very well-known landmarks of my city in Roblox Story Mode, which were the dam, the main city part, the farm, and those force fields eventually had so much pressure under them that they just blew up. And the one near the dam, of course, that was Isaiah's death. It actually blew up and cracked the dam, and then we were searching up the dam for any more cracks to see like when it is going to break, just to be safe, you know, on the safe side. And of course it broke right as we were up there, and Isaiah died, a really close friend of mine in Roblox Story Mode. And of course that whole episode, which was episode 4 I think, was a whole I guess it was a whole memory of how me and Isaiah met, a whole dedicated off of Isaiah, a whole episode dedicated off him, just so then we can give him a little bit more screen time, just so you know. And after that, basically the tears, the cracks in the ground that were caused by the tremendous explosions by the force fields, basically that episode was called Weakness for a reason. The weakness was basically water. I know it's weird, but if water were to come in contact with cracks, then they would have reformed into each other. And of course with water, I don't know what I was really thinking, I just thought it made a whole lot of sense for water to become bubbles, and the bubbles eventually popped, creating a portal, and that was the Terminator's whole plan of what to do to get Coda into this place. And basically that leads back into Roblox Story Mode, the movie for Robin. Robin was trying to stop Coda. It shows how Coda was originally made by the scientist, and basically in the final battle versus Robin and Coda, basically Robin had thought he won, but then Coda basically went back in time to not die, you know what I'm saying? And by that he knew that I was weaker, I had less experience, because of course I only had 2 seasons at the time. Robin had 3, so he had, with the addition of extra episodes, DLC episodes at the end. So Koda knew that I was a weaker opponent and he wanted to go to my realm, and he did that. And basically that leads back into my season 2 of Roblox story mode. Of course the bubbles popped, which created the huge portal, and eventually Koda came through, which that is where he actually teleported. But before Koda can actually reform the portal, which actually the Terminator, this was his whole plan all along, because he knew that Robin was able to beat him without robots, but he couldn't really, and like beat him by himself. So he needed a companion, which was Koda, and they were communicating, and this was the Terminator planned it all out. He was trying to get Koda to my realm to, you know, they had this plan all along. And Robin actually, when Koda reformed the portal, Robin actually followed right behind him, and that was the cliffhanger to start season 3 off, and also the infinity sign, and that leads us to season 3. Let's talk about episode 1, the journal kind of stuff. So if you saw my mini episode, which was actually posted a while ago, it showed the that basically the infinity sign kept multiplying itself. It did it twice before it actually reached a minimum of 3 infinity signs wrapped around each other, and the infinity signs actually gave up. It got so heavy that it eventually just fell down and caused us to, it kind of like caused a huge explosion, which sent us into the past, where like dinosaurs and Vikings, pirates and stuff like that. And then it eventually sent us towards the future, to where the whole world was scorched, as you saw it in the beginning parts of episode 1. That's what the journal stuff meant. It was just telling the viewers what had happened while we were gone away from the seasons. And after that, basically, of course, Koda came down again after 100. Oh, I am sorry. My controller just died out on me. But anyways, as I was saying, basically, I don't know how to put this. Okay, so basically, after that happened, Koda, after like 150 something days, Koda came and decided to actually prevail his actual like new plan, other than the Terminator bringing him in. Of course I defeated the Terminator, but Koda actually, since he's a computerized robot, basically he has a TV as a head. He can actually, within his mind, he can type in like codes and stuff, as you saw from the actual episode. That's what I meant. He can type in codes that are basically commands that he can do to bring us someplace else. And that's exactly what he did. He said, I don't remember what he said, but he said something like along the lines of Robin _ Derek _ TP _ point A, something like that. And there were 3 points. Point A was, of course, what was it? It was something. I don't think it was the normal elevator. I don't think. It was something like that. I'm pretty sure, yeah. And then not episode 2. Oh, it was breaking point. Never mind. So basically, he teleported us in hopes to kill us by the game, because he didn't really want to use all his power on just destroying us, even though he knew we were weaker than him, because of course he's a time god. And he basically brought us to the death game, and he made a mistake by saying corrupt in his code, and by saying that, it actually corrupts his code every time someone dies. And exactly what happened in Breaking Point. If we died, which we did, both of us, it corrupts his code and it straight away just teleports us to point B. And that was the normal elevator. During that scene, I don't know what was really going on. That was kind of meant to be like a little funny scene for everyone, because it was just like weird, and at the same time, I don't know. But yeah, that happened, and then of course I eventually died, and Robin eventually did, I'm pretty sure, yep. And then we met Teddy there in the elevator. That teleported us all to point C, which was Cursed Islands. And of course we eventually died right there, and it teleported us to the final point, which was a dark place, and that ends up being our episode 2 starter off. Starting off with episode 2. Episode 2 took place in where, of course, it left off in the dark place. We were looking around. We were uncovering more information about how it went, and we eventually found out that it was supposed to be a maze of just halls and a labyrinth with no escape unless you actually shut off the maze's power. And with that being said, we tried to do exactly that, but we were also being chased by the Dark One. The Dark One was a shadow that is basically, he was made also at the lab. And we found out actually a lot of secrets that episode about the origin and what happened and stuff. And basically, the Dark One kept on trying to kill us, trying to go for us, and we found out that it wasn't his fault, that we actually had to he was being controlled by Coda, basically, since of course he has that kind of power, and to do bad stuff, because once he escaped from the facility, once he destroyed it, Coda actually sent out a whole bunch of failed experiments. And with that being said, since he did that, that put a large bounty on his head, and that actually caused people to want to run and capture the failed experiments for actually tests, and they actually kept him in the facility. And the Dark One happened to be the only failed experiment, yes, he was a failed experiment, he said, that had escaped. He was the only one that had escaped from the people. And of course, since he's a shadow, his dark side is light, so he had probably gone into like someplace dark, which would blind the people after him. And since he can only see, because of course he's a shadow himself, so it'll be hard to see him. And he eventually, Coda found him and basically brought him to the whole maze and ordered him to watch after it, just in case like anything happens. And since that happened, the Dark One was of course being controlled by him and being forced to watch anyone and attack them if they get near the maze, or at least the end. And he gained control for a split second and was telling Derek all the information he knew about the failed experiments and stuff. and also about how he knows how to show off the maze's power and stop all of this. And that's exactly what Derek's goal was. At that time, he had lost Robin and Teddy, and he did not actually know where they were, because of course he was alone by himself. And eventually he reached the switches, and you had a choice in the beginning of the episode to trust the Dark One or not. And if you chose to trust him, then, which is actually the route that was taken, trusting him would lead to actually good consequences, because of course it worked. He was telling the truth. And the final phone call, not the Morse code one, the final phone call that had been given to him was kind of like a trick. There was two people saying that I'm real, please don't flip the switches, it'll only make it worse, or flick the switches, that's how you like get out and escape. And basically Derek chose to pull the switches and trust him, which of course was the right decision, and that was it. The maze's power was switched off, and the Dark One also had told Derek that some of Coda's power was transported into the machine to actually power up the maze's power and keep it from not like going any darker and just stay there at its neutral state. And Derek, by pulling the switches, Derek had actually collected some of the power from Coda, and he had used a lot of it already because there wasn't that much. There was some, but that's just shows how powerful Coda really is and how much power he has. Basically Coda okay, so after that Derek chose to use the rest of the power to not get home, but to actually go use the Dark One's advice to go back to the lab and like go back in time all the way to the lab for where Coda was made. And of course it worked. He went all the way back in time and saw what happened, and he tried escaping, which eventually worked. And he finally was transported through a little generator, which actually teleported him to a place which was the failed SCPs, and he had found Robin, and that's pretty much how the episode went. It was a cliffhanger after that at the failed SCPs, the facility, failed experiments, I mean, not SCPs, basically are SCPs, so, but yeah, that was for all of episode 2. I'm just going to say before episode 3 is released, episode 3 is kind of a weird episode. Well, it's not really weird, but with that being said, Coda actually knew Derek's plan all along and knew what the Dark One was doing, and because he's not stupid, he's a god, for crying out loud, and he chose to take the right approach for him, and he decided to basically keep Derek and Robin as far as away from the facility as possible, which means he had to teleport them there. And you're gonna see another journal thing telling you what happens in episode 3. But basically after that happened, of course, Robin and Derek aren't in the same place anymore. You'll see why. Because he wanted to keep them. Derek's plan, I'm not going to tell you Derek's plan yet, because that actually will ruin the whole season 3 for you. But Derek's plan was known by Coda, and Coda wanted to keep him from preventing the plan from happening. He wanted to keep him as far as away as possible from the failed SCP field experiment, facility. And that is actually what Coda did to ruin his plan. But I don't know, will his plan work? I do not know until I actually finish all 5 episodes. But yeah, that's basically what happened, what went down in episodes 1 and 2. What happened was actually very storyline telling. So yeah, I hope you all did enjoy the little analysis for episodes 1 and 2. If you had missed it, they were really good episodes. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend checking them out for sure. And also check out Robin's Roblox story mode first before you watch mine, because it'll make a lot more sense if you watch his new Roblox story mode, the movie, and then watch mine. It'll make a lot more sense of what's like going on here, okay? But anyways, with that being said, I will see you all hopefully in the next stream. If not, then the next episode. Bye.